fake by McCamey. Looking downtown. Touchdown! Basket! 47 yards for the score.
Here's what we're doing, 22 personnel, 2 backs, 2 tight ends. And it's McCamey to basket, that's it. Now watch, Gordon does a pretty good job. He doesn't get his hands on him. He fell for that little stutter. I like what he's doing, but he's got to keep his eyes on the receiver. As soon as his head...
Our head coach of our local football program, Bronco Mental.
The details themselves with the right preparation can separate you from mediocre competitors that don't do that. And so, yeah, the attention to detail, I think, drives the execution, or should I say brings the execution to life, especially in critical moments.
Welcome to the Pip Press. Well, no, this is not the Pip Press Live. I'm so used to doing that. Welcome to the Morning Howl. This is a UNM football pregame show. We're going to do it every Saturday during the college football season, and we are rightfully blessed. Let me hit you with Latimer from the program. We are rightfully blessed with a week 0 game here in Albuquerque, Montana State, an FCS team, and we'll get into that. We've beaten this game to death like it's the Super Bowl. They are now 13.5 point favorites. We'll get into that a bit. They visit UNM today, and it is the first game under the Bronco Mendenhall era. So we'll get into pregame stuff. Ben Wysong, former Lobo back linebacker, will be joining us. He played under the Rocky Long era. I saw the comments. Played during that era, and he will join us to break down the game again. He's got 2 nephews on the team, Luke and Evan Wysong. I'm happy to have him on again. And today's show is brought to you by Dulce River Bakery and Coffee, as I have a nice cup of coffee this morning. All right, we'll get to the usual suspects. He's a Lobo fan since 1970 and the voice of the Western New Mexico Mustangs. He will be helping Nick Nunez call West Mason St. Pius on ProView Networks at 11 a.m. I'm going to that game to watch my St. Pius the 10 Sergeants. His name's Ed Nunez. Ed, how you doing this morning?
You know, I think Rick's right. We beat this game into the ground like the Super Bowl. So, after the St. Pius game, I'm, my son and I and I'm looking forward to the trek to University Stadium and getting out there and seeing what they got. So I'm looking forward to it.
No, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know how we were able to talk about it. We kind of mention the same thing every night, but it's been an interesting game to talk about given the lack of media access and the sense of no distraction which Bronco Mendenhall has created. To my business partner and 2004 Capital State champion with basketball, even though we're talking football. His name's Eric Moulton. Eric, how you doing this morning?
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm good, Ryan. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Howl. Again, want to thank Armando and Molly over at Dulce River Bakery and Coffee for sponsoring the Morning Howl. We were there on Thursday, going live from Turquoise Desert Tap Room, which was a really cool experience. If you guys have never been, go check it out. Our guest Ben has probably been there because I know that's kind of his neck of the woods. But yeah, I'm excited. We're finally here. 5 hours away from kickoff. We stretched out the summer and really beat it to death. But let's jump into it.
Ed, I felt like we were just in Vegas at Circa yesterday, and it's now, that was July 9th and 10th and 11th, and it's now August 24th. It's true what they say about the older you get, the faster it goes. All right, and all the way from the Bay Area in his lovely mansion outside Lake Tahoe, he is a two-time offensive state lineman for San Juan Mendoza and the St. Pius X Spartans. Played for Damian Segura, and he is wearing his finest, not tux, but suit this morning.
Richard.
His name's Rick Thompson. Rick, how you doing?
I'm good, guys. Happy holidays to you all. It feels like a holiday as we kick this day off. Been anticipating it for months and months. I could tell you more about Montana State and New Mexico than any human should know. So let's get it going. Let's spew it out, brother.
Rick, I have a special guest. If you're not amped for the first day of college football, I got to go to our main man, Fred Durst. I don't know how I liked him when I was younger.
I'm ready.
Oh, damn. Well, it was Limp Bizkit Faith when he yells, "Get the F up."
I should have got the red backwards hat to match next week.
Yeah, well, I'll buy you the Yankee hat, the red Yankee hat. All right, you can follow him at NM Sports Capper on Twitter. His name is Jacob Neff. Jake, how you doing today?
Doing good. Long fantasy football draft last night. Another one today. Yes. So, yeah, I'm getting a little worn out. But, yeah, ready to talk about this game, ready for college football to start. Excited for football to be back. Really, really excited. So, yeah, we'll get into this game and some others, I'm sure.
Before we start breaking this down and we'll get our thoughts, Sean Ryder obviously had his preview. It's a different take. We want to thank our sponsors again, Dulce River Bakery and Coffee and Affordable Services, Affordable Service, heating, plumbing, and air conditioning for your HVAC needs in the Albuquerque and Rio Rancho area. They've been in business in New Mexico since 1986 and are still locally owned. During that time, Affordable Service has served more than 40,000 customers, providing complete residential and light commercial HVAC services, including heating, plumbing, cooling, electrical, as well as plumbing. They take pride in their staff, their community, and creating satisfied customers with every place they visit, every home they visit. We appreciate Affordable Services. I want to go to the comments real quick. Paul Benea, good morning, bros. Let's bro down. John Romero needs some morning Howl Lobos and Pit Press. It's game time. To Kevin 34A, you poked the bear. Every time they mention Rocky Long, I'm taking a drink. I'll be hammering with an hour. We didn't really talk about Rocky Long that much, but Rocky Long. That's 10 Rocky Longs. There you go. Enjoy the game. I also want to do our question of the day, of the morning. Question of the night. Will the Mountain West Conference get a team into the college football 12-team playoff? That is in the comments. You can comment on YouTube, on Twitter, X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. Every time I say that, I just have Prince wailing during Kiss in my head. I say yes. I talked about my top 25 last week. You can find that on our YouTube channel. I like UNLV, the University of Nevada, Elvis Presley. I think, and I'll come back to that again. 9:30. Ben Wysong is joining us, former linebacker. Ed's got to get somewhere, so I wanted to start here and make sure he has time to speak today. Two things for you, Ed. Sean Ryder wrote about it. We talked about it Tuesday night. The attendance for today's game. We kind of mentioned it on Thursday. Sean finally wrote about it. 17,000. Dave Williams told us 17,000. I think the bigger question is, with that said, and I hate asking it, does anybody in this town care? And as of today, are they already asking, when is it basketball season yet? But what do you finally, now that we are 5 hours away, how many people do you anticipate there today?
I'd say, when Dave Williams said that, I think we had said on the show a couple of weeks ago, I said 18 to 20, and I was kind of hedging about that. But when Dave Williams said 15 to 17,000, my eyebrows were like, okay, that's probably something more in line with what's going to happen. I'd say the same thing, 15 to 17. I'll land in the middle and say 16,500 with really the announced attendance 16,500, actual attendance probably more closer to 14,500. That's just what I got for that. We'll see. And it's a 2:00 game. It's going to be 95 degrees out there. So yeah, that might keep some of the people away, but it's the same thing we've said about Lobo football, apathetic fans. And if they happen to lose today, we'll have to see how that train goes. We've seen it here before. Lobo fans, as soon as one football game is lost, they're already, and again, especially with the UNM men's basketball team season, a couple of months down the way, we'll already be asking when does the basketball season start. But I'm in it for the for the excitement for all of it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. But yeah, I think about 14,000, around there, actual attendance, maybe 16,500 announced or 17 announced attendance today.
I just want to do theory of cap. I just want to go to a comment. Theory of caps. Anyone know where the game is streaming? Florida State and Georgia Tech in about 40 minutes is on ESPN. Montana State and UNM are on Fox Sports 1. So any of your cable providers, streaming providers, Hulu TV, YouTube TV, Xfinity, Comcast, Dish Network, DirecTV, whoever you pay to watch television, that's what FS1, or you can even go to foxsports.com. If you're not subscribed to anything, you can watch for about an hour, but it is on Fox Sports 1. This is a nationally televised game. It is a standalone game, and it has history in the making, with my understanding that Montana State is the largest favorite heading on the road against an FBS team. And the line is now, according to Action Network, 13.5. Neff, I'll get to you in a bit with that. Rick, I want to turn to you. You have brilliantly breaking down the game. We've talked to several former players. We're going to be joined by Ben Weissong here in about roughly 10 minutes. Dontrell Moore had said the X factor was the offensive line. You are a two-time, not one, but two-time offensive state lineman. You kind of know how to play the position. You do know how to play the position. I am starting to think, as I woke up this morning, the offensive line for UNM will be the determining factor. What is your X factor?
Yes, as all the players we've had on the past few weeks have said, this game is won in the trenches, and football is a complex game, but what it always comes down to is the simple thing of blocking and tackling. Who's going to block better and who's going to tackle better in the open field? And Montana State's O-line is much in flux right now with Justice Perkins, their All-American center, being out. And they're shuffling someone into center that doesn't traditionally play it. While on the UNM side, we know they have, I believe, 4 or 5 new offensive linemen that are still probably trying to develop their chemistry. And like we've talked about, in order to help the O-line, they're going to, in my mind, probably keep the offense fairly vanilla and get the ball out of Dampier's hands quick. So one, he doesn't have to make too many tough decisions, and two, the O-line isn't having to make too many variations in what they're doing. But I think it's going to be a feeling out process for this O-line through the first few games, understanding each other, learning their calls, knowing where the other guys are going to be. So I think it's not going to be a finished product today, but I think this O-line can hold up based on their size alone and some of the experience they have. So I would say the O-lines are fairly even in this, even though Montana State might have more experience together. They're doing some moving and shuffling right now. And let me tell you, if I was a guard or a tackle and now all of a sudden I'm asked to play center, to me, that's a big change from going with your hand down to having to snap the ball and, get off your block and be in a different position. So I think it's asking a lot of Montana State's O-line to shuffle around, but also a lot for UNM just to gain the chemistry with just coming in with so many new guys. But I think they can stand up to the task today. And if they do, they should be able to hang around in this game.
Eric, I'm going to go to you, and then I'll give my final thoughts, and we'll go to the comments before we bring in Ben Weissong. Eric, you haven't joined us as much. You've listened. You have another newborn. You do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. You're wearing the hat. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I have to side with Rick here. I think it's going to come down to how well Montana State's offensive line holds up. They've moved around a bunch of guys, some inexperience there, even though that's kind of the staple of their team. They also have a different starting running back that they anticipated or didn't anticipate having to start out there. Their key guy, Julius Davis, is not going to be able to play today. He was a key transfer about a season ago from Wisconsin, so I know he was a big piece of their team. But I'm really looking to the Lobos defensive side of the ball. I know that Gabe Lopez, who you guys had a chance to interview at Mountain West Media Day, was kind of the heartbeat of this team, or that's what Sean Ryder referenced in his article in the Journal earlier this week. How well do those guys hold up? The physicality, how does that defensive line look? And then flipping to the other side of the ball, right? I think all offseason, we didn't know a whole lot about this team. We were looking at how well the offense was going to be structured. Some new running backs kind of hit the roster, and it looks like Elijah Sanders was going to go ahead and get the nod at start. So, and not someone like Andrew Henry, but I think it's going to be a mix of backs and running back by committee, and hit them from a few different angles, man. It looks like these guys can catch the ball out of the backfield. So I'm really excited to get a first look at this offense, see kind of how they're pieced together, because I feel like the defense might be their experience. They got a bunch of transfers in from Power 4 schools. So the experience is going to outweigh there, and really looking to see how this offense is structured and see how well they can get rolling. And then obviously the elephant in the room, Devin Dampier, how he can conduct the offense. He finally had his first full summer. This is his team. It's been his team since spring ball and all that kind of knocked off. So excited to see them play.
Neff, I forgot about you. I'm going to go to you. You feel that they are going to run the ball down UNM's throat?
Well, I just think that that's going to be their game plan, right? We know that that's what Montana State does. It's not going to be any type of secret. I mean, if you've watched Montana State over the last, 2, 3, 4 years, they run the ball, and I'm not sure they'll run it down their throat, but that's what they're going to try to do. And with that, I think that this is going to lead to potentially a low scoring affair for the first half. You've got a team that's trying to get used to a new coaching staff in UNM, play together for the first time. And then you've got a lot of, like we've been talking, like you guys have covered so far, you've got a lot of people from Montana State not playing in key positions today, right? So there's going to be some lack of, fluidity in their offense as well. So I could see this game being tight. And I'll tell you right now, there's no bigger cheerleader than all the sports books today of UNM, with almost a 10-point increase in a line. I mean, I can't even tell you the last time I've seen that from a betting perspective. So, to me, Rick covered it. I think we talked about it last weekend. It's going to be probably one in the trenches, defensive line, offensive line, especially in a game like this. So we'll see how prepared they are, and we'll see how focused they are. They've been talking about that now for a month, 2 months now, when you played your interview, earning it. So let's see where they're at.
Hey, Neff, before we move on, I just wanted to ask you a question. I'll really just ask for an explanation more on the breakdown of the spread at 13.5. Started at 4.5, I think, when we were at Mountain West Media Day. But can you just kind of break down or explain for some of the listeners that might not understand kind of how that works and how that line got inflated just kind of over the course of the last few weeks?
Yeah. So, usually what would happen is, they start a line at where they think it should be, and then you get, the public money that comes in first, usually that either increases it or decreases it, depending on which way people like it. But for a spread to increase by 9.5 or 9 points, that just means there's so much of an influx of money coming in on Montana State that the books have to keep raising the line to try and get money in on the other side, so they're not taking such a hit on just one side, and they're not so heavily dependent. The books never like to have a crazy amount of money on one side and so little amount on the other because it's such a liability. So in this instance, what they've been doing is they're raising the spread and continuously raising the spread to see when they could get somebody to bite on UNM taking the points. And just throughout this entire, since this is a week 0 game, the spread's been laid now for about 3 weeks. And they haven't been able to get anybody to bite on UNM. It just continues to get Montana State money, Montana State money, Montana State money. That's why you've seen the line increase 9 points. And I'd be interested to see today if we see the spread go down to 12.5, 13. That means that maybe the late money comes in on UNM. But yeah, that's what increases that line is just money and tickets that are coming in on Montana State and liabilities. So, it's a very heavy liability for Vegas, DraftKings, all those companies, because they cannot seem to get people to bite on UNM right now. And they're almost up to a 2-touchdown underdog at home to a team that's never beaten an FBS school. That's another thing. Montana State's 0-3 lifetime against FBS schools. So that kind of gives you an idea. Yeah, that kind of gives you an idea of where the public and the betting world thinks UNM is at this point.
I'm going to do this really quickly, and then we'll cover the other games today. But Neff, I wanted your thoughts here. This is you have a bigger play. Can anybody hear this alarm? Perfect. Okay. Well, I butchered our mixing, but I wanted to. Let's see. No, that's Stone Cold. Here we go. Got to give you some Irish.
They're always after me, Lucky Charm.
All right, Dublin in about 30 minutes. Then we'll get to Ben Wysong. I appreciate his time. Florida State, 10.5. I have no Irish in me. The money line is high. Georgia Tech, over under 55.5. Jacob, what do you like on this game? We're doing this real quick because that game is in 30 minutes.
Yeah, the travel in this game is 4,000 miles plus for each team. It's a weird time for them to be playing. It's week 0. There's a lot of transfers that have come in from the Florida State side of the ball, offensively. To me, I think the under is the play in this game. A lot of people are high on Georgia Tech this year. Both of them have good, experienced quarterbacks. I think, to me, just knowing how far you've had to travel for this game, the potential for some slow starts, even though that there is experience on both sides of the ball, I would take the under in this game. It's just one of those things. It's one of those things where you have to fly 4,000 miles to play a game. They're on natural grass, that's where I would go with this.
I like Florida State. I teased it down. I like Florida State. DJ Ugalele, Haynes King. Haynes King's a lot better. He started out at A&M. I'm interested to see what this Georgia Tech team does, but I'm hoping that Georgia Tech
they're always after me, Lucky Charm.
doesn't steal my Lucky Charms, and I win. I win that bet. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Then we'll get to Ed's prediction because he has to leave, and I'll leave him around for a little bit of comments with Ben Wysong. So we'll have Ben join us here after commercial break. You're watching The Morning Howl. This is UNM football pregame show on the Pit Press, New Mexico Alumni Media Network. Welcome back to the Morning Howl. This is a UNM football pregame show and college football show. Coming to you live every Saturday at 9 a.m. Don't forget to check out the Pit Press live. We might adjust this week because it is actual game week, but we were coming to you live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. You can check us on YouTube, Twitter, X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, and go to our YouTube page, click like and subscribe. Follow us at the Pit Press NM on Twitter, Instagram. Go to our website at thepitpressnm.com. And then I want to thank one of our sponsors. Sorry, I had 40 million things running through my head. Affordable service, Dulce River Bakery and Coffee. The Morning House brought to you by that. I'm having a cup right now. Thank you very much. Affordable service, heating, plumbing, and air conditioning for your HVAC needs in the Albuquerque and Rio Rancho metro area. They've been in business in New Mexico since 1986, and they are locally owned. During that time, they've served more than 40,000 people, providing to 40,000 customers, providing complete residential, light commercial HVAC services, including heating, cooling, plumbing, electrical, as well. Heating and cooling, electrical, and plumbing. Can't talk this morning. They take pride in their staff, their commitment to their community, and creating satisfied customers with every house that they visit. Appreciate that. Ed, before we get to our guest, I want to ask you your prediction for the game, and then feel free to chime in with questions for Ben Wysong, because I know you have to get going here soon. Your prediction for today's Montana State game and UNM kickoff, roughly 4.5 hours away.
Yeah, I think we've there's situational or matchups today, and in the paper, defensive line, offensive line. Sean Ryder broke them all down. The only positional advantage he gave to UNM was tight end. Look, Montana State, I think Jacob said it. It's not a secret. They're going to come here to run the ball. That's what they do. They run the ball. Sean Ryder said Tommy Malloy's quickness at the quarterback position is something UNM is going to have to deal with. And I think it's a New Mexico team, new on all sides of the ball. One thing we haven't talked about, though, and I've mentioned it, is the Bronco Mendenhall effect. I think it takes effect today. I've got UNM 34-31. I'm probably one of the few that would say that. I was at my wife and I were at Frontier this morning, and this guy comes in this Montana State shirt and hat. And I said, hey, good luck. Welcome to UNM, or welcome to Albuquerque. Should be a good one. I think I said UNM 34-31. And he said something like, yeah, it'll be a good scrimmage. And when he said that, I was like, okay, all right, man. The UNM fan in me came out.
Wait a second. Say that again. He said it was going to be a scrimmage?
A good scrimmage. That's what he said. It'll be a good scrimmage. And when he said that, I wasn't even talking mess. I just said UNM 34-31. And when he said that, I was like, okay, kind of got that UNM fan up in me. And I am a UNM fan through and through. I'm not going to ever back down from that. Of course, I want them to win. So, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll see what happens. But I've been talking about Bronco Mendenhall, and I think UNM is being overlooked here. And I understand why. The program hasn't been good. People don't know what to expect. They hired Bronco Mendenhall for a reason. And I think today you start seeing some of the reasons why I've got UNM 34-31. And we'll see.
I wanted to give my piece before we went to commercial break. I'll make this very quickly. The theme is I don't know. Jeff Symbiot has mentioned it. I've talked to other people. They don't know. They don't know what to expect with this football team. As I've dissected it, I have teeter-tottered. I have 2004 John carried it. I have been back and forth. I don't know. I think Bronco Mendenhall is a damn good coach. This Montana State team does scare me, and then you go on the road to U of A and then Auburn, and then you get a break and you get Fresno. Then you play your biggest rival. I look at the schedule. I'm like, holy hell. However, I'm as much as I like FCS football, and I fear this Montana State team, I just don't understand how they can come in here and just roll them over. I saw Sam Houston State do it under the Loxley era. That was a whole different ballgame. He got fired the next day. Plus, his son's friend rear-ended somebody in the parking lot drunk. So that was the Mike Loxley era in a nutshell. I like UNM today. I really do. 11.5 is a lot. I'll elaborate that more later. I want to bring in our special guest. He is a former, let's see, how many people can we get on here? There we go. Wow. A lot of us today. 6 people. What a panel. His name, he played linebacker at UNM in Eastern New Mexico. He's got 2 nephews on the team, Evan and Luke, and we're happy to have him on again and help us break down this game. You know the last name. His name is Ben Wysong. Ben, how you doing today?
Doing good, guys. Yeah, thank you guys for having me on this morning. big day today. Ed, you got me going now on that scrimmage comment, man.
Oh man,
I'm gonna have to relay that.
Yeah, that got me a little going. Look, man,
like my inner player in me now
I
was like, all right, let's go. We'll give you a scrimmage.
I was going to ask you that if that made you pop off, because I'm
a little bit.
Oh yeah. I mean, you've listened to the show, Ben. We've talked off air. You know, I'm just always let you know I'm giving my opinion. And I heard that, and I was like, what?
Okay.
So if there's any, yeah, okay. If there's any Montana State fans listening, you have to understand how probably, you know, again, jaded I am towards UNM. I want to start here. We had you on about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago on Ben, and you kind of gave us an insight. You know, your two nephews are on the team. Luke is a starting wide receiver, a speedster. I'm looking forward to seeing him back on the field today. I had flashes of Maine as I was trying to prep for this show, the Maine game. Have you talked to them since then? And what has the mood been since the last time we talked to you? I think it was a little bit reserved, Broncos being very calculated.
Right.
Has anything changed? What have you heard?
I've talked to the boys briefly a little bit last night, and I mean, they're just excited. I know they're just chomping at the bit and just to get this thing going. You know, I mean, they've been looking forward to this since, you know, pretty much mid-December, you know, once, you know, Coach Mendenhall and the staff got here. So I think there's a lot of excitement around that locker room. You know, some nerves. I mean, yeah, it's the first game with the new staff and, you know, pretty much a whole new team, you know, with, you know, the amount of transfers that we got in, you know, mixed in with the new, you know, with the existing players. So I know they're excited, you know, and I know they can't wait to get on there and just, you know, do their thing, you know, what they've been working on this whole entire spring and summer. And, you know, they put in a lot of hard work. So I think they're ready to just showcase that now at this point.
And then I will open it up to the gang or the usual suspects with a question or comment that they have. First thing we talked about last night, and I was trying to think of questions, but the run game. You think that Montana State is going to come, and you play defense, you think they're going to walk in University Stadium and probably run the ball 30 or more times? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, just looking off just past history, you know, looking at last season, I think all but one game they had under, you know, 30 rushing attempts, you know, and even looking at their stats from last year too. I mean, I know some guys have graduated, but you know, it's almost like a running back by committee with this group. You know, they got a whole stable of running backs that they can just plug in and plug out, and you know, they're gonna you know, run it down your throat, so to say. And you know, one thing I'm kind of curious to see going into this game is, you know, hey, is it going to be a situation where it's, you know, we're going to hit you with a run, and then all of a sudden a pass out of nowhere just to kind of catch them off guard. It's going to be interesting, and you know, especially with the defense. You know, I'm curious to see how much pressure, you know, Coach Mendenhall and those guys will bring with this team, you know, because, you know, from defense standpoint, I mean, you got to fill the gaps. So, you know, and they definitely have to do that against a team like this. You know, and even looking with their quarterback, I mean, the guy's a dual threat. You know, he kind of reminds me of Devin in the sense where, you know, the guy, he, you know, run just almost as much as he passed. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a good matchup. I'm excited to see it. Just from a defensive guy standpoint, to see how well they rise up to the challenge and just, you know, hopefully stop these guys. So,
Ben, can you talk a little bit about when you're facing a quarterback and an offense like this that runs the read option, but then like you're saying, they'll also pull a play action pass out of that read option, you know, where Tommy Malote's going to roll out, you know, after that fake. How difficult is it as a linebacker or a Lobo back to be playing against the read option and, you know, just keeping track of what your responsibilities are?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, you definitely, you know, I would say discipline is probably the top, you know, how I would describe it is, you know, when you're facing a team like that. Yeah, I mean, you're basically getting put out into space, you know, for one. I mean, you got to be able to make the tackle, especially when they're spreading you out like that. And that's the other thing too, especially as a linebacker, you know, you got to be able to kind of see what's going on around you too, while at the same time making your reads with the quarterback. You know, is he going to be, you know, are you his read key, you know, and you know what's, you know, are you dictating what he's going to be doing on this play? And you know, you got to recognize those types of things. So I know Coach Mendenhall, I mean, he's going to have these guys prepared though. I have no doubt in my mind that these guys are going to be ready to go. And you know, yeah, it's going to be a good challenge for these guys. You know, game one, hey, let's get it going. So,
Anybody else?
Yeah, I got a question, Ben. What would you say the most underrated aspect of this team is for the listeners that maybe, don't deep dive into this team, as much as you and have the insight that you have? What would be the most underrated portion of this team?
I think now I'll give you two answers on this one. I think from an offensive standpoint, this might be a biased answer, but I think our receiving room is probably one of the best that we've had here in quite a long time. And I'm talking since the days of like Hank and Travis and Marcus Smith. And now that we have, Devin, in control of it, I think he can definitely distribute the ball to these guys. Defensively, I know they've been getting a lot of slack over the offseason, but I personally think our defensive line is going to come out and show out. I think these guys have what it takes to be able to, get pressure on this quarterback, stop the run game. I'm excited to see what these guys can do. I'm excited to see, from a linebacker standpoint, Jaden Wilson, he's going to be the starting middle linebacker today. So, this is his first start. So I'm excited to see what he can do. But I'm really looking forward to that D-line to see what those guys can do in this game. So I'm excited for them for this opportunity. And that's what it is. Everything is an opportunity. So, hopefully they can rise up to the challenge and get it done today.
Is there any specific offense that you remember playing during your playing days that looks like this Montana State team?
Gosh, I would say not necessarily like Air Force, but in terms of distributing the ball to the running backs, it gives me that kind of vibe. Like I said, they got a whole stable, especially when these guys are running the option. I would say it's almost like an Air Force offense, but just coming at it from the gun formation instead of under center, like I said, they're going to run it up, they're going to run it down your throat until, the score dictates, depending on the game. If, depending on the game goes, maybe they'll open it up a little bit, but gives me a lot of feelings of that. So should be a good matchup. I'm excited.
Ben, when you mentioned Air Force, the triple option, they've come in up here to Albuquerque many times and really hung it on the Lobos, man. And that's a very disciplined team, and they're very comfortable in running that offense. But when you mention that, I guess I want to know, with Coach Mendenhall, everybody talks very highly of him in the preparation. What kind of edge? Again, nobody knows about New Mexico. Everybody knows about Montana State. They're 13.5 point favorites. It's kind of for a FCS team that's, it's unusual. But talk about a little bit about Coach Mendenhall's preparation for things that he sees and he's able to adjust to. You mentioned defensively how disciplined New Mexico is going to need to be. But just talk a little bit about Coach Mendenhall's preparation. Coach Mendenhall's a coach. I think he's going to be a big factor there today that some people may not be talking about.
Exactly. The thing with, with Coach Mendenhall, he has so many qualities. For one, the X's and O's standpoint, the guy is amazing. The guy will always, he does a very good job of putting his players in a position to be successful, when in terms of the game plan. The guy is such a tactician, and, so from the X's and O's standpoint, can't even talk. He's amazing. And then even just from the leadership standpoint, like I said, like the last show, the guy is like a Fortune 500 guy, that just, runs and coaches a football team, so he's got this, unique ability to be able to motivate these guys, and get them prepared for whatever lays in front of them, whether if it's an FCS team or if these guys are playing Boise State, it doesn't matter. It's an opportunity to go out there and, pretty much showcase yourself. But, even more so than that, it's also an opportunity to be able to go out there and play on the field with your teammates, and just, do what you love to do. There's a purpose of why, we're here for a reason. So he just, like I said, he's just such a talented guy, and just, he can motivate the heck out of you. And I think that's exactly what these guys are feeling right now. Talking with Luke and Evan last night. I haven't seen these guys this excited in, gosh, probably not since, high school when they're playing for a state championship game. So it's exciting to see. I feel like it's like a new rejuvenation, and Coach Mendenhall has definitely done that. So, and not only him though, too, I will say his staff as well. The boys that you even mentioned, the coaching staff, with Coach Beck, their offensive coordinator, great guy. Met him, 2 weeks ago at one of their scrimmages, and they just, have this relationship that's, so close already, and it's like in the short time they've been here in a sense. So I think this whole entire staff as a whole has done a great job of getting these guys motivated and just getting them prepared. Like I said, there's, this is a great opportunity, is the word that's been thrown around. So I'm excited for them.
Hey, Ben, I would like to get your point of view as a former Lobo position. It's kind of like a hybrid role from my understanding, kind of like a linebacker who's very flexible, can play in the secondary if need be, but needs to be around the line really often and kind of being more aware of what's going on in the backfield. So describe that type of position and how it can kind of formulate into today's defensive schemes, because everything that I've been reading up on Montana State is, yes, they're a very run heavy offense, very option read zone. So you have to be aware of what's going on in the backfield. However, they do have a new offensive coordinator this year in Tyler Walker, who was the offensive coordinator at Colorado State before he went over to Montana State.
Right.
And they have some key transfers in. They have McCullough is one of them. He transferred in from Colorado State, who had, I don't know if he got a ton of snaps last year, but they also have another receiver that came in. Alexander transferred in from Washington, so has experience at the power 4 level, and they wanted to find a healthier balance of running that run pass option, run game, but also have the threats downfield to give Malott kind of that option. From your perspective as that Lobo position, I feel like the Lobos do have some personnel that kind of fit that mold. They have DBs that can kind of play safety if need be. They refer to these guys being cross-trained to play different or multiple positions and just trying to find the best overall athlete. How do you kind of fit that into your perspective and on the field Lobo position and being cross-trained at different kind of positions all over the secondary?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, and that's, the beauty of that Lobo position, at least from my opinion, is that, you got to be able to play a little bit of everything on that defense, whether it be, you were coming in on a blitz. I mean, we were basically, in a sense, like the blitz and safety, just not labeled a safety, if we were running that, the 3-3-5, and, the thing about the Lobo that I remember was, we were very heavily focused on either running backs and tight ends, or depending the team that we're playing, if they're running a 3-by-1 set, we were focused on either like the number 3 receiver, sometimes number 2, depending on personnel. And I think that's what this game is going to be. I'm curious to see what this game will look like in terms of the personnel, because you bring up a great point, with their new offensive coordinator. With that Lobo position, I mean, he's got to be able to do both now at this point. You got, stop the run first and then look for the pass. It's going to be interesting to see how much they put these guys, and I say guys, more so the receivers, into space, how our secondary can adjust and coverage those guys. But with the Lobo position, though, I mean, it's, like I always joked around, you basically go to the guy with the ball. You know what I mean? You're kind of like that center field, you get the, haul tail to the guy with the ball and, make a play. So I'm curious to see what that looks like today with, as far as, if they still keep the heavy run game, if they're going to be playing him lower in the box, or are they going to be playing him more center field as that extra, defensive back. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be cool to see what these guys do and how they've prepared for this. But man, I love that position. When the day when I found out I was moving to Lobo, that was a gift from God.
Yeah. And I don't know if they have that position specifically anymore, but I think they probably run some renditions of it just based on different schemes and packages. But what positional matchups are you looking at today to really focus on stopping that option run and keeping Malott kind of contained a little bit, because he's the one that really gets this offense going?
Yeah. I mean, kind of more in broad terms, I'm looking to see how our front seven does. I'm curious to see how these guys, handle that run, like I said before with the D line, I know they were getting a lot of, I wouldn't say heat, but, they only, had a couple sacks last year, and, they didn't really pressure the quarterback that much, so I'm curious to see this D line, get some pressure on the quarterback, but I'm also curious to see too with this linebacking group, how well they can, fill those gaps, and, read and pursuit of the ball. So that's probably one of the more exciting matchups to see, in my opinion, is, how well these guys are going to flow to the ball, especially if they're running, like an outside zone, concept and, just, haul into the ball and get that guy, get the running back. So it's going to be fun.
Love the insight.
One place where I think UNM does have an advantage is on the special teams. If you look back at Montana State last year, they really had struggles at the kicker position. They're bringing back Casey Kotzman, who missed the last field goal of their season last year on a blocked kick, which I guess was low and left. And based on what I heard, even if it wasn't blocked, it probably wasn't going in.
Right.
So they don't have a lot of faith in their kicking game. So I think if they get into having to, need a long field goal, or it comes down to a one possession game, I think UNM has a little more faith in their kicking game. And of course, with the return men of Wysong and whoever else they put back there, I think we definitely have some weapons in the return game. So I think if New Mexico can win that phase of the game, that'll go a long way, because I think based on what Coach Vegan was saying, they don't even know who the kicker was up until last week. So I don't know, Ben, if you could speak, but do you know if your nephew is going to be back there fielding punts and kicks this year?
Yeah. So talking to him last night, this guy talking about Luke. So from my understanding, he's going to be the punt returner. I believe he's also going to be in the back on kick return. They even got his guy on kickoff, which I'm like, okay, here we go. It's like you're basically doing 6-yard sprints now at this point. But so it'll be Luke. Luke for sure is the returner, and I want to say I think it was Javen was the other going to be the other returner on kick return, and I think Evan is his backup on punt return. So I mean that's kind of cool, to see those two kind of paired together in a sense. But yeah, you bring up a good point with special teams, and I'm glad you brought it up, because I'm actually curious to see how well, A-Rod does, Aaron Rodriguez, when we get into those situations as far as being able to pin those guys deep, in the field position game. I'm excited to see him come back and just kind of do his thing. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe also is Luke Driswicki will be the kicker. So, and he's pretty solid. I'm a big fan of him. So yeah, you're right. I think, from an advantage standpoint, I would definitely go with the special teams. Talking with Luke, Luke prides himself on, the special teams aspect of it. So I know he's excited to get back there and just, hopefully break one off, like he did against Colorado State and UNLV a couple years ago, and, get another one. So.
Yeah, I guess
you have.
I was just going to say, I guess that just goes to tell, all the listeners and everything, how important being ahead of the sticks is going to be in this game too. When you have a special teams that's not great and you can't rely on the kicks, you might have to stop them for 4 downs. And, that's the thing. If they start going for it, their heavy run, you're going to have them averaging less than 2.5 yards of play during that. So, that's going to come down to the D line, like you were saying, and that's where we're going to need to be strong today, especially if they can't rely on that kicking game.
Yeah, exactly. And I think looking back at their stats from last year, I think they were averaging almost 7 yards a rush, which is crazy to me, So yeah, that's a great point. 2-3 yards max. That's the goal. Get these 4 and outs opportunities, and, talking with, Luke and his dad, Adam, they got to get a fast start. In my opinion, I think just to help build the confidence, with this brand new football team in a sense. So I think if they can get a fast start, it's just going to build the confidence, and I'm hoping they can just kind of keep piling it on them in a sense. So they're, like you said, everything's unknown. We don't know. So it's going to be exciting to see, and interesting to see what they do today. So I'm excited, but yeah, that 13.5 point spread though, that's a little rowdy. I might go to Sandia after this and go throw some down. Just
yeah, it's absolutely insane.
I
have such a big pedigree of betting in my family and sports books, and my uncle was the VP for the MGM Mirage casinos and the sports books, and I can't remember the last time that I've seen a game jump 9 points. I mean, in a football game, I've just never. I can't remember it. It's insane to me, and
Yeah,
I think that the majority of the country feels like that guy at the Frontier this morning, Ed, where it's going to be a good scrimmage, because there's just no reason that a game goes up by 9 points and you can't get any, and you just can't seem to get money on UNM anywhere. But yeah, I mean, the value as Lobo fans to bet it now is great, because
oh yeah, I mean, how can you not really at this point? In my opinion, it's with this spread, it's like, especially with it being the unknown, of it. So it's like, like I said, how can you not? It's 50-50 at this point, in my opinion. But I'm like I said, I think we'll definitely find out a lot about this team today. Hopefully answer a lot of the questions, and hopefully it's a lot of positive. So, but it's going to be fun. University Stand will be fun today, so can't wait to get out there.
Lastly, do you have a prediction for the game?
Yeah, I think it'll be close. I think I'm looking at like a 28-24 UNM. I think UNM does pull it off. So I can, 28-24, 24-21 type. I think it'll take a little bit to get settled in, like you guys were talking with the Florida State Georgia Tech game. Hey, we haven't played football in 9 months, so it's with the new staff, so it'll be interesting seeing how they do early on. But I think they can, once they get going, I think they'll get going pretty well. I mean, from an offensive standpoint, Coach Beck, he does an amazing job of getting these guys into open space, and just letting them make plays. When you got guys like Luke and, like talking with Andrew Henry the other week after the scrimmage, that was the first thing he said, because I asked him, I was like, how do you like it? He's like, this guy, he gets me into space, and, that's what I do. And, case in point, Utah State last year, that amazing play that he made on that last game, so, these guys can be dangerous, and, Coach Beck does a great job of that. So it's going to be fun watching this offense today to see what they do, especially now that we got Devin at the helm, and, he can just do his thing and just focus on being QB1 now.
He is a former Lobo back and linebacker for the University of New Mexico. I hope you enjoy tailgating today and enjoy the game. I will be texting you probably the whole time, and he will be joining us a lot more. So his name is Ben Wysong, and again, the lineage of the name in this town with football. Ben, thank you very much. Enjoy the game today.
Yeah, thank you guys. Good to see you. Yeah, you guys enjoy as well. And yeah, go Lobos.
All right. We appreciate you, Ben, joining us today. And let me fix the screen there. There we go. Ed, I know you've got to jump off. Nick's calling West Mesa and Wow, couldn't think of my alma mater. St. Pius in an hour, and we officially have football right now. So bless it. Any final takeaways from Ben?
No, you know what? Ben broke it down pretty well, especially about the part about the disciplined football and what they need to do to stop the run game. You've got to win on first down. Montana State averages 7.8 yards per rush. Jacob, that's what you said. They're going to run the ball. Everybody knows what they're going to do. So you've got to win on first down, limit them, get them behind the chains, 2nd and 7, 2nd and 8, instead of 2nd and 4. So that's real key, I think, today in today's game. So looking forward to it. Got to run, guys. Got to make it out to go help my son. So we'll be seeing you guys at the game, and well, at least to some of you anyway. Rick, take care, man. The house looks good, brother.
Thanks, Ed. Have you over sometime.
Yeah, I'd love to. You guys take care, man.
All right, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. And man, Rick's house is phenomenal.
Our head coach of our Lobo football program, Bronco Mandel.
The details themselves, with the right preparation, can separate you from mediocre competitors that don't do that. And so, yeah, the attention to detail, I think, drives the execution, or should I say brings the execution to life, especially in critical moments.
All right, Rick, I'm going to try it again. Let's see. Can you guys hear this?
They're always after me, Lucky Charms.
All right, perfect.
Much better.
Okay, perfect. Because I butchered the joke earlier. But the Dublin game is about to start. But if you're not amped for college football and football to be back, Fred Durst. Oh, no. Oh, it was already at the end of it. Damn it. I butchered that joke twice. I've offended myself. Any joke that doesn't land is offensive. Hey, I want to thank Ben Wysong for joining us, former Lobo back, former linebacker for UNM, 2003 to 2006. Appreciate his insight. Again, family lineage. I hope he doesn't get tired of me saying that. He loves our show. And I was like, well, we're going to incorporate you more. As I'm blocking Jacob's head there. But let's see. How can I fix that? Here we go. No. Slightly better. I'll just let that cover there. All right. Want to thank our sponsors. Hey, nothing like trying to produce and hey. All right. We're going to thank our sponsors very quickly. Dulce River Bakery Coffee, fantastic live content, and affordable services, heating, plumbing, and air conditioning, all for your HVAC needs. They have been serving the Albuquerque and Rio Rancho metropolitan area. They've been in business since 1986, and they are locally owned. During that time, they've served more than 40,000 customers, providing complete residential and light commercial HVAC services that include heating, cooling, electrical, as well as plumbing. They take pride in their staff, their commitment to the community, and creating satisfied customers with every home that they visit. Appreciate to Ed and Nick are calling St. Pius and West Mesa at 11 o'clock. I think Georgia Tech and Florida State will be kicking off here shortly. Neff likes the under, and we'll get into betting. And then we also simulated the game, which gave me my 5 minutes of fame on EA Sports College Football 25. Pretty shocking results, I will say. Go to some of the comments. Ronnie Chavez, Georgia Tech 27, FSU 23. Georgia Tech QB threw the most TDs in ACC last year, and wide receivers are good. Defense look pumped. Neutral site game. Yes, they are in London.
They're always after me, Lucky Charms.
Dublin. Yeah, excuse me. What did I say? Ireland? Oh, England? What? I don't know. Anyway,
said London.
Wow. Dublin. Richard, I'd like to apply to be your butler. I have references. Ricky does the show from Airbnb's emoji laughing face JK. Ricky has an awesome house. Yes, he does. The energy is here. Tailgate is popping. Great to hear. Cody Bessanetti. I hope I pronounced that right. Dampier is the best looking QB UNM has had since Portery. He is this generation's Stoney Case. And I wanted to go back to Brent Newberry talking to my son-in-law at the game today. Looking forward to seeing Broncos' first Lobo game. Hopefully they are competitive and disciplined at Go Lobos. Wanted to go back to that. Hopefully this will work now. I wanted to, if you're getting amped, I've butchered this joke. Third time's the charm. If you're not amped for football season, Fred Durst is here to help. God. There you go, Rick. Can't believe I liked that shit as a kid. All right. I want to do our betting. I can't believe that was an actual song. All right, our betting, and we will bring in Jacob Neff. We already start with Florida State. He likes the under. And we will finish with UNM. The 4 games today, 3 of them involve Mountain West Conference teams. SMU, I wrote Georgia Tech in there. Gosh darn it. Georgia Tech, SMU goes to Nevada. I copied and pasted that and didn't fix it. SMU goes to Nevada. They are 27.5 point favorites. The over-under is pretty steady today at 55, 54, 55.5. Jacob, Nevada was voted last. Jeff Cote's taken over there. SMU migrates to the ACC. I don't know much about SMU. They're on the road. Nevada is probably more in a rebuild than UNM. I would say this is a stay away game, but 27.5 is a lot of points.
Yeah, it feels like a stay away game, and I don't know. For me, I never want to be betting, giving almost 28 points on a road game to start the season. But SMU does have Preston Stone back. He's a very good quarterback for SMU, and SMU is known for many years as a team that threw the ball, but they actually really like to run the ball now. And Preston Stone doesn't make too many mistakes. He only threw 6 interceptions last year. And Nevada is getting Lewis back at quarterback. I know he was playing last year. He was injured, but I'm not sure Nevada is going to hold up a test here. For me, I would never touch, like I said, 28 points, giving 27.5 points to start a season, even though they are the much better team in this matchup. If they happen to win by 40, great, that's fine, but you don't have to sweat it out and lay 4 touchdowns before the game even starts. I would expect SMU to win this game, though, and they should beat them by 4+ touchdowns because they are a more talented team. And as you said, Nevada being voted preseason last in the Mountain West, they're not going to give too many people a run for their money this year. So this is we'll go back to that theme. Probably a pretty good scrimmage for SMU this morning.
All right. The other game of the day, which is one of my favorite teams, and I love Timmy Chang. Delaware State, who missed their flight out of JFK. So they had to travel from Delaware through New Jersey. I don't know why they didn't fly out of Philadelphia, or I guess because it's going to Hawaii. To fly out of Philadelphia or to Newark, New Jersey. I have no idea. This and Timmy Chang, Braden Schrager, they also have I think a wide receiver transfer that everybody's high on. We talked to defensive back Peter Manumana from Hawaii at Mountain West Conference Media Days. This line is absurd at 40.5. However, I think everything that's happened with Delaware State to travel clear across the globe to get there, and I think Hawaii's offense is rejuvenated. They are trying to figure things out. Timmy Chang is an alumni. It was very fascinating. I think Timmy Chang and Danny Gonzalez were both hired in the same season. But Timmy Chang set all kinds of just not only Hawaii records, but in about 25 years ago, but a lot of NCAA records. The over-under is 55. Jacob, if I'm going to do anything, I'm taking the over because Hawaii can't score. I don't know if their defense can keep up. I don't know jack shit about Delaware State, and I don't think a lot of other people do, being an FCS team. I think they're the Hornets. No disrespect to Delaware State. Your thoughts on this game, though?
Yeah, I mean, this team was this Delaware State team got plummeted or pummeled down at the stretch last year. They lost to North Carolina Central like 55-14 to end the season. They lost to like Norfolk State by 23-24 to end the season last year. They already had the flight issues, like you said, the long travel. To me, in this game, if you're betting, I mean, this is a game I totally stay away from as well, even though Hawaii is going to probably blow them out. The issue is it's 40.5, and then you have an over-under of 55.5. So in that case, if you like Hawaii, there's no reason to lay 40.5 points. Most of the time, I mean, unless you think Hawaii is going to win 63-0, it's probably best to take the under in this game because what the line is telling you is they don't think Delaware State's going to probably score. And if it's the later it gets into the game, if they're down, 35-42-0, Delaware State's obviously not kicking field goals. They're going to be going for it. Hawaii might put their backups in. So if you're laying the points in this, you might as well take the under because you actually get an additional 15 points to play with. And if you don't think Delaware State can score, that's probably the bet that you go with. But totally a stay away game just because obviously we have no idea about Delaware State. And I mean, yeah, I'm not giving anybody 7 touchdowns to start a game in week 0 of the college football game or college football season. So yeah, that total stay away.
All right. Lastly, and the games, Florida State and Georgia Tech have started in Dublin.
They're always after me, Lucky Charms.
Not London, Dublin. SMU and Nevada are at 6 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. Hawaii and Delaware State, I think, is on ESPN Plus. It doesn't say. That's usually Spectrum Sports in Hawaii. Rick was just there. It was beautiful. I should wear my shirt. I'm wearing my shirt to bed tonight. He got me. That game is 9:59 Mountain Time. So 12 o'clock if you're on the East Coast. I'm going to try to figure out how to watch that game because I love my Hawaii. Jacob knows how I love my Hawaii basketball and football because I like to lose money. All right. The game of the day, and I'll get everybody's opinion and prediction. Then we'll also give our EA Sports prediction because we simulated it. Here it is. And I want to appreciate Action. I'm using Action Network and Caesar Sportsbook for these odds. Montana State is now a 13.5 point favorite. If you want to win $100, if you think Montana State's going to win, you have to bet $550. I think UNM is plus 440. $100 bet wins you $440. I will start here, and then I will go to Eric and Rick, and then I will let our in-house guru Jacob Neff at NM Sports Capper, you can follow him, give his breakdown of this game because he's got a stone cold lock, which is what I'm calling it. Your TD's lock of the game. Montana State is. I'm still baffled when we got to Fresno State, when we got to Las Vegas. Rick had sent me a text. The line had come out on FanDuel that it was Montana State 4.5. And I was like, holy hell, my head exploded. I think this is going to be a dogfight today because you have a new system and you have a team, granted, at a little bit of a lower level, but you find diamonds in the rough that transfer out to other schools. 4.5 to me was about right, I think, given the unknown and what I've learned the last 2 months. But for it to jump up to 13.5 points is mind-boggling. I teased it down, or excuse me, I didn't tease it down, but I took UNM at 10. It is a lot of points. I don't know how, I unless it's close and UNM is trying to stop them and they break away and somehow Montana State scores late and goes up like, 10 or 11 or 12 or 13. I cannot see them covering. It's no disrespect. If you've listened to this show since we've started the last year and a half, I'm not a homer. I just can't see 10.5. That's a lot. I also like the under. I do. I think that's a lot. I think if you're running the ball and the fact that the clock doesn't stop after first down anymore and they get the 2-minute warning, which started last year in college football, I like UNM plus 10 at what I got it at. And if I could make it at 13.5, I would. Again, you cannot make the bets at Sandia or any of the local casinos because UNM is in town. I don't know the rule on that. Again, it's probably to sway, rigging the game or shaving points. If you know somebody in a state that can bets, or somebody in Vegas, you have 4 hours to do so. Rick, I wanted your thoughts and the prediction on the game.
Yeah, we've been thinking and talking about this for a long time. And like you, at the beginning, I was much on the Montana State side. But after learning more about some of the injuries that they're up against, I think I do like New Mexico to cover. I think I would still like Montana State to win this to the tune of maybe 31-27, and for this game to probably go over that total. So I wouldn't probably touch the spread, but I like this game to go over. I think the defenses are both going to be struggling early on to find their footing, and for the Lobos is that secondary of Noah Avenger and Christian Ellis and Bobby Arnold. Are they going to be able, in that safety and nickelback position, to make enough plays both on the run, but also be ready and possibly make an interception? I think the Lobos are going to need a turnover to stay in this game, and possibly a few, big plays in the special teams game. So I'm going to take New Mexico to cover and the over for the betting line here.
Florida State is up 8-0. They went for 2. Holy moly. Eric, your thoughts and prediction for the game.
My thoughts with a spread that big, it tends to kind of lean one way. I don't really agree with the spread. There's just not a whole lot about this New Mexico team, and really just basing a lot of it off the historical kind of structure of Montana State. But they are down. They have moved some offensive linemen around. They don't have their starting running back, and I think it's just really hard to predict. There's 49 new transfers in for New Mexico, 60 brand new players, brand new head coach. I don't know where you get that number from. There's really nothing to really base it off of, and I think it's inflated. I'm gonna if I see some value, I'm probably gonna stick with the value and take Lobos money line. I'm gonna and hold my foot there. I think that there's a good chance that Lobos walk away with the dub, and I'm trying to remain as objective as I can here, but I just don't think there's any realness to that 13.5. And I understand how the lines work and how Jacob explained it earlier, but I'm going with the value and taking Lobos money line.
We now go to Jacob Neff, and I hope I didn't delete it.
You did it.
No, I did delete it. I was going to play the Stone Cold theme song for you as I block your face, but your pick of the day, and let me block your face again, Montana State at UNM under 54.5, and it's Neff's Stone Cold lock of the day. Hopefully you have Coors Light at 10:15 in the morning.
Yeah, for me, lots of running. To me, it's just the clock's going to run. I don't think either of these teams are going to be in a need to pass. Like you said, there's new rule changes to the college football game where there is no stopping the clock after first down, so you're going to get a running clock a lot. None of these teams are, from what we know, what I've seen from Montana State, they don't play any type of no huddle. They're not going to be in a hurry. They just play a traditional offense. And then, like, Ben was kind of saying, it might be very vanilla to start the season for the Lobos just because, they're trying to get used to each other, trying to get used to the system. So I could just see this game being kind of a grinding type of game, right? And, with Ben saying that the defensive line is his, the portion of the team that is his most underrated, that might be important, right? For obviously the run stopping area of it. And then can Montana State stop the run with, Dampier and all the fortunate running backs we have. So to me, I just think the clock's going to run. Might be a little bit of a rough start for the offenses with some key positions out. And to me, I just think 54.5 is a lot for the first game of the season with so many new changes. And then obviously with some of the key missing parts from Montana State. So that was my favorite bet of this week.
Say that again, and I accidentally deleted the Stone Cold theme that I ripped off of the internet, but here you go again. Neff's Stone Cold lock of the day, Montana State at UNM under 54.5. Rick likes the over, so we've got some controversy on the morning Howl, and that's what we need. All right, I'm going to set up Eric. We simulated Montana State, and I want to thank, I don't know if this guy's listening. You can follow him on Twitter, and where is it? Hey, good. The journal looks pretty good today. On Twitter, Montana. Oh, what was it? Montana AA football. He created the teams, and we were able to download them and simulate Montana State at UNM. Eric, if you can bring it up, please. How long is this, Eric?
Welcome everyone.
About 20 minutes, but we can fast forward if you like.
Of the University of New Mexico, and the fans here are fired up for this clash. We're really looking forward to this matchup. You've got
I'll let them take the field because we have a lot of tradition at UNM.
Now trying to pass an all-important road test.
There's the fight song. Appreciate at Montana A football again, who created this. Yeah, if you can mute it. That way we can talk over it. Perfect. So we did simulate the game. And if you can fast forward, try to fast forward it to halftime, Eric, or just a little bit before. Montana State took a 21-3 lead late in the second quarter there. UNM scored, and then there was a pick six, I believe, and I forgot who it was, by UNM to push it to 21-17. And in the second half, UNM, there it is. Yeah, there was a pick six. And UNM held Montana State. They shut them out in the second half and rallied down 21-3 in our simulation to beat Montana State 31-24. Rick and I were watching it as I was streaming it over to this platform, and we were like, "Oh no!" And I want to watch my mouth with your daughter around. But
she can't hear you.
Oh, that's right. Good, yeah. So we
So
were like, "Holy!"
there was an exciting game, Ryan. It was 2 picks by Noah Avenger, one for a pick six, 137 total rushing yards for Andrew Henry. So it looked like a slow start for the Lobos, but that secondary came away with 2 big picks, and they came back for the victory in the final quarter there. So let's hope it plays out that way.
That was Dampier to Bruckler there. I was, when it started, I sent everybody the link, and we were like, "Oh shit, here we go!" And then all of a sudden, the Lobo defense, a big pick six again by Avenger. I think they score here. Hopefully, this is Henry, but they tie the game. And Andrew Henry, I think, had 2 touchdowns on the day. There you go. And Avenger, I think, had a big pick six to end the game, but the secondary coming up big. So there you go. There's our simulation, Eric. If you could fast forward just a little bit, there's Andrew Henry tying the game. Maybe the last minute. Yeah, here they go. I think they just got the ball. But yeah, they took the lead in a big stop to end the game. And I think they took a knee here. Yeah, there it is. Here's the replay, I think, of the game, the pick to seal the game. There you go. So yeah, down 21-3 in our simulation, and they come back and win 31-24. I can kind of see that happening today. Again, if Montana State fan is listening, you know, you have to listen to the show all the time. I want to thank Victor Flores. If you're looking for something to listen to before the game, he was on with Sean Ryder. He was on with us. If you go to our YouTube channel, you'll find it from Wednesday night. He works for 406 MT Sports. He was awesome to talk to. His first trip to Albuquerque, Sean and I told him to go to Sadie's or Frontier. There you go, 137 yards, 22 attempts, 2 touchdowns for Andrew Henry, the Discover player of the game. And there's the, I think, Avenger pick 6. So, yeah, I mean, a rally there. But any more insight, go to our YouTube channel, check out Victor Flores. Does anybody have any final thoughts before we call it a wrap on our first actual game day Lobo morning Howl? Rick, I'll start with you.
Yeah, just grateful that the day's here. It sounds like in the comments, the tailgate area is already fired up. You know, me and my daughter here are pumped up. She's already got Lobos in her blood. So just thanks to all the listeners for being part of this journey. And let's have a great season here.
Jacob, I'll go to you. I don't know where he went. There he is.
Yeah, no, I mean, just excited for football to be back. I won't be able to attend this game live, but definitely looking forward to making it out there with you guys this year. But I'll definitely be watching while I'm at a fantasy draft. Yeah, hopefully we get a good start to the Bronco Mendenhall era. I mean, he has only had 1 losing season in his 17 seasons as a college football coach. So that's something positive to look forward to.
Eric, off to you.
I'm excited to see all the new guys, all the new transfers, all the new faces around the program, and really I want to see a lot of those penalties from last year disappear. So I can't be at the game today, unfortunately, but I'll be watching at home with my family. So go Lobos.
I will be going to the game. Luckily, I won't have to sit in the heat. As I mentioned, my thoughts are I don't know, and I hate saying that, but there's a lot of unknown. Everybody's been saying that, and that seems to be the consensus, much like Action Network's consensus of plus 13.5. I was a big Lobo fan, football fan growing up, more so than basketball. Mike Loxley and a certain sports information director have changed my view on that program, although that relationship is up and down. I like Danny Gonzalez. I wanted to see him win, and I have criticized Bronco Mendenhall for how he has approached the media. Yes. But if it's won before, it's won before. I think this Lobo team wins today, and I think that they cover and they win outright. Put $100 on them if you can. I am looking forward to this game and this era starting. The next month after this game is pretty tough to swallow. But I think down the stretch in the Mountain West, and I'm not high on New Mexico State anymore. I think with Jerry Kill gone, as I've mentioned, they were a covering machine for me last year. I loved watching them. But this team and I don't know. I think this team is going to have a punch you in the face mentality that I always talk about. You know, the old Mike Tyson. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. I'm excited to watch Montana State. I've loved learning about them. I love FCS, so this is exciting for me. I'm excited for this game. To me, this is the game of the day. But it looks like Georgia Tech and Florida State are off to a hot start. We will come to you from. Got to figure out. Eric's got to jump off. I will end the show here. We got to figure out how we're going to recap everything and during the week. Again, Pit Press Live. We have come to you every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We will shut off on Thursday with the NFL when the NFL season starts. I'm not going to compete with that, even if it's Carolina and the Giants. I don't know if they play on Thursday night, but it's probably terrible. I hope everybody enjoys tailgating. Check us out on the Morning Howl. It's brought to you by Dulce River Bakery and Coffee and Affordable Services. You know what I didn't do? And I'm sorry, I didn't wrap up the question of the day or the night. Question of the morning. Will the Mountain West team get a 12-team playoff? Neff, I'll start with you. I like UNLV, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure they do, to be honest with you. I just think that this is going to be a tough conference. I think it would be really tough to get somebody at 12-0, 11-1. So my answer to that would be no. But hopefully we're wrong and we do. That would get the conference back on the map. But for me, the first year of the conference or the college football playoffs, I don't see that the team from the Mountain West representing in that. So my answer would be no to that.
Rick.
My answer is based 100% off of the results I've been getting in NCAA college football video game, which I've been scolded many a nights for being caught staying up till 2 or 3 in the morning by my wife here. What I'm saying is if Boise State does run the table with this quarterback they weren't expecting to be the starter, I think that it looks like they do have a chance to get in the playoff according to the video game. So I'm going to say yes. Boise State finds a way behind Ashton Genty and the rest of that talent that they have. So I'm going to say yes.
I like it. If they go into Oregon and knock off Oregon, that's going to be one thing. Eric and Neff are fired. Not going is crazy. Eric has a family issue, so that's why he's not going. We were hoping to get some video of the game today. Ed and Nick will be there. Rick is getting on an airplane from his mansion in Tahoe, his private jet, to join us at the game today. And Neff has another fantasy draft, which I hope doesn't take 5 hours. All right. We appreciate everybody listening. We will come to you live next Saturday morning at 9 a.m. I don't know if I'm going to Tucson. I am debating it. I am going to see what happens today. Because if they get shellacked by Montana State, I have a feeling it's going to be when does basketball season start? I hope it doesn't. And I hope for the sake of my bet, it doesn't. Rick, Ed, Nick Nunez, Nick wasn't on. Jacob, I appreciate you. Follow him on Twitter, SportsCap, NM SportsCap, or tweet that out that your Stone Cold Lock of the Day is under 54.5 in UNM and Montana State. College football betting and NFL betting. I hate it.
I hate it, but I love it.
Much like college basketball. Rick, I appreciate you.
Richard.
Rick Thompson. You can follow him at rthompson1050. Eric Moulton, appreciate you. We will do a show Tuesday at 8:00 Mountain Time. Everybody enjoy tailgating. Be safe. Do not drink and drive. I know next weekend Uber has a plug. Use that. and we will recap the game at some point. But everybody enjoy the game, enjoy tailgating, enjoy the try to stay cool, and then enjoy the rest of the college football on now. We appreciate everybody watching it. This show is nothing without you. So check out the Pit Press Live. This is the Morning Howl, a UNM football pregame show brought to you by Affordable Service and Dulce River and Bakery and Coffee. Everybody have a good one.
Our head coach of our local football program, Bronco Mandel.
The details themselves with the right preparation can separate you from mediocre competitors that don't do that. And so, yeah, the attention to detail, I think, drives the execution, or should I say brings the execution to life, especially in critical moments.